Catherine Grace O'Connell.
Welcome to Mastering Modern Midlife. I am Catherine Grace O'Connell, your host today, and I am so excited to welcome today's guest. Today's guest is Jen Thoden. Jen Thoden, Jen Vax. We got two names, and we'll get into that story here. And we have a wonderful modern midlife woman who is also a speaker, an entrepreneur, and an author. And this is her fabulous book, That's My Color, which is Discover Your 5 Signature Colors and Transform Your Life. So obviously we're going to get into the book and colors and how color helps us transform our lives. But welcome to the show, Jen Thoden, Jen Vax. Like I said, I have also changed my name, so we can definitely dive into that conversation too. Yeah. Delighted to have you. It's been a while that we have actually in the makings on the back end to make this happen.
I know, we've been back and forth for such a long time. So, and you know what? I think the timing is perfect. So we've gotten past all the crazy of December and now we're together. So I'm perfect.
Yeah. Timing is always perfect. And crazy year, crazy this past month. It's just been, I'm ready to kind of put the crazies behind us.
It would be nice. It would be nice. Yeah.
It would be nice. So, I'm really happy. This is really our first face-to-face meeting. I feel like I know you from reading your book, watching your, delightful videos, and you have such a beautiful sense of humor and energy about you. And speaking of energy, why don't we just dive into color, energy, transformation, self-discovery, how does that all go together? What does color have to do with transforming our lives?
Oh my gosh, everything.
That's it. That's all we need to do is color.
I mean, what? I don't understand. So, color came into my life at a really low point. And I know that you read the book, and it obviously goes into the story at quite a depth, but I will share a much shorter version of it for you and for your audience, because color comes into my life in a way that was unexpected and in such a meaningful way. And it doesn't seem that long ago, but it was about 7 years ago now, but I was in a very, very low place in my life. Not too much before that, I had lost my oldest daughter, who was 9 at the time, to cancer. She was diagnosed at 7, and a lot of people want to know what cancer it was. So I will share that it was osteosarcoma. If you want to talk about that later, we certainly can. And so when a family, loses, and when a mom loses a child, it's really indescribable. And I certainly don't want anyone to ever have to experience something like that. But there's definitely a gap in your life that you're trying to fill. And I did everything I could to really fill it. I was going nonstop, taking care of my daughter when she was sick. And for people who don't know me, I also have 2 other children. And at that time, they were all really little. So I was trying to be everything to everyone, right? I'm trying to be keeping Kelly comfortable and spending nights at the hospital. And I'm trying to be a good mom to my other 2. And I'm trying to be a good wife and making sure that my husband can go to work. And at the time, by the way, I don't know if you knew, but I had a business that I was trying to run as well. And so I was going nonstop. And I think I was pretty much doing what anybody honestly would be doing if they were me at that time, which is just doing everything to make sure that the world was okay, and that everyone in my life was okay, right? And so once she passed away, it was sort of like when the wheels are going, you don't know how to stop. I didn't know how to stop, and I certainly didn't know how to do self-care. So I just kept filling the void, and we did all kinds of stuff together as a family. And what really I wasn't paying attention to was that the relationship between me and my husband at the time was getting tense, and we were having trouble. And when we moved back to Virginia, we were in Texas at the time. When we moved back to be closer to family, we just really didn't make it. And so I found myself in my townhouse 7 years ago. And really, it was a time when everything around me kind of closed in. The kids were at their dad's, which was a very strange experience for me. And I didn't have cable. So I didn't have TV to keep me company or to keep my mind busy. And it was a moment where I think was probably the first time ever that I stood still and was my own company. And I remember having just an extreme sense of loss. And it was the loss of my daughter. It was the loss of my marriage and a lot of guilt associated with that. And just extreme loss of sense of self. I just didn't know who I was anymore. I had gone through all this stuff and now I'm not even a wife anymore. Right. And everything is redefined
your entire
me.
Identity is that. You said wife, mother, all of those things. And you have been leading this life, at least super mom, super wife. The whole external is perfect. And the treadmill comes crashing. So first of all, I am so sorry about the loss of your beautiful daughter. I have many friends that have lost children. I have many women in the community who've lost children. So, I experience it through them, but of course I can never really truly know what that experience is like. And to me, that is the ultimate definition of fear. So I do believe that we're given, what we can handle. And sometimes I think, God has quite a sense of humor as to what you can handle. To me, there's nothing more devastating than losing a child. I talk about an instant wake up call. Like you said, you can't, when that treadmill stops, it's like that gaping wound. You can't, what do? You're like in surgery trying to close it up. So thank you for sharing that, and you share it beautifully in your book as well. So clearly this was a devastating time in your life. There's massive pain. Like you said, all of your identity is gone. And, then did we fail? I don't mean fail losing a child, but my marriage, these things, the guilt, the voices. So how did color come into your life, and how was color so deeply transformative and to help you really discover who you really were? Yeah. So I knew at that point that I needed to do something to figure out what was going to make me happy. I didn't like who I was. I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. I was a lot heavier at the time, and it just didn't feel good about myself. And so I actually joined a life coaching program. I honestly don't even remember how it came about, but I ended up joining this program. And what was really profound for me was at the very beginning of that year that I joined that program, it was all about really getting to know yourself, right? Like, what do you like to do? And who are you? Who do you want to be? And all these really big questions. But the one thing that really resonated with me was all about your self-image. And, if you improve your self-image, then other things in your life improve as well. And so good energy out, right? Good energy back in, and how we think about ourselves has a profound impact on everything in our lives. And I really resonated with that. And there is a direct connection between how we think about ourselves and what we actually see in the mirror. It's psychological, right? And so I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. And so one of the tips was to improve. It's a simple tip, right? It's just to improve your physical appearance, and that will help your self-talk a little bit. And if you like what you see in the mirror, more positive thinking, more positive energy. I'm like, okay, I can get on board with that. So I started to actually Google how to dress, and I didn't even realize how disconnected I was. I mean, you don't have to be a fashionista to appreciate that everything that we do and everything we put on our bodies and everything that's around us and how we decorate our home is all a direct connection to ourselves. And I hadn't even realized how removed I was from me. So when I started to actually look at how to dress and that kind of stuff, I had nothing in my closet that I even liked to wear. It was all beiges and sad clothes. And anyways, I came across a magical thing called color analysis. And I was just completely mesmerized by this concept, colors that could flatter you. What? That's amazing. And I became absolutely obsessed. I'm a fine artist. I actually went to art school. And so this was just kind of somewhere in there. Yeah, which makes perfect sense. Yes.
And so I was just this is my jam. And so that's exactly that's where color really started to come into my world, as I started to realize that it actually had meaning and it had energy behind it. And you put on a color and it flatters you, and it not only does it make you like what you see in the mirror, but it makes you feel a little bit different. And so I remember putting on a color very similar to this, and it's a coral pink, and it seems so silly now, but I remember being absolutely terrified to go to work in this color that's not even a bold color. It's not even like it was red or bright yellow. It's just a color. But the reality is that I had been in such a beige world for so long and so completely not paying attention that I really thought that I was going to walk into the office and people were going to be like, oh, who is she? Like, who is she? What's she trying to do? Like, look at that. She's and I was just consumed by this that I almost didn't. And I realize now, like, that seems really silly, but I think a lot of people actually go through that. Like something that's just different from what they've been doing, hiding in a way behind just trying to be invisible, I think, in many ways.
Sure. And I think also we're so busy out there, it's about them. But it really is what you're saying, which is the midlife pivot, right? We go from out there about everybody else to this sort of no man's land, and then going to this new direction of, oh, wow, this is actually about me. I get to dress for myself. I get to wear colors for me. And it's so fascinating. Most of those people out there really aren't thinking that much about ourselves. We just think they are.
That's the thing, right? It's like, I was so worried about it. And now I go, people get all kinds of caught up in, wearing a color or a pattern or whatever they want to wear. And I'm like, I don't even know how to say this to you, but people aren't looking at you. There's no fashion police. There's no color police. No one's going to chase you down the street and tell you that you shouldn't wear that. That's all up here. We have so many stories that we tell ourselves. And that's one of them, right?
They read our minds, I think, sometimes. That all these things that we hold inside, like you said, there's this costume. And I do think, again, that's a big part of what I share in the midlife pivot. We do wear this costume. You talk about the Russian dolls. We had a show about one of an author in our community who wrote a book. She's like a psychologist, but about the Russian doll theory and the way all these multiple selves inside of us and this whole exterior that is so perfect. And I really do believe life is designed to melt that away, burn that away, because it really isn't who we are. Like you talk about this authentic self inside. And I think that's what midlife is. It's this authentic self going, hey, what about me? What about me? I'm in here, let's forget about that. And sometimes for me, it was burning everything away at once so I could find that person. And I think, for you losing a child, it definitely is a massive wake up call.
And honestly, just, it's absolutely a wake up call. And I am so grateful, not for that type of wake up call, but just to have been awakened, right? And to realize that there was some work that I needed to do, and that I wasn't a happy person. I was a burnt out person, and I was a tired person. And I knew that I could not be the mother that I wanted to be and the person that I wanted to be if I continued down this path of putting everything else first and ignoring what I really, really needed. And the thing is that I think a lot of us get to this point, right? We get to this point in our midlife where we are, oh my God, I got to do something for me. And sometimes we don't know what it is. And I think that can be really frustrating for a lot of people.
So I think that's a huge, commonality in midlife. I know that you have a lot of midlife women that you talk to, that you coach every day. And I think how can we possibly know what we're here to become, if we've never focused on ourselves, right? It's like our whole life has been, be it, a child and your parents, or in school and you're learning, like you said, you're a mom. Many of us are moms, and immediately then that becomes our identity, and the super mom becomes our identity. And then when that, I know, it's just, how can we know? But I believe that's what midlife is for. It's this amazing process of self-discovery and ultimately transformation. So let's talk about how do colors, like you're wearing your blushing color, which I also think is your eye-popping color. I'm wearing my happy color, which I think is also my eye-popping color.
I love it. Oh my God, I love it.
Like what? So signature colors, there's 5. So let's let's color our world. I mean, for heaven's sakes, like you said, there's a very interesting story in your book where you're going through the divorce and you're finally in your own place, and your ex-husband, I think, didn't color on the walls, and you're able to finally live your life your way. So let's talk about that. No more beige world, colorful world, and coloring our lives and living in a colorful world.
You know, there is a huge realization that I had, even when I was writing the book, that I didn't realize, even during that process that I was writing about, was the giving yourself actual permission to do some of the things that you really want to do. Yeah. You know, I have this house now. It's me. It's all mine. There's nobody else to tell me what to do, and even wanting to paint the walls a color, like you just mentioned, like, you know, my ex-husband, honestly, he didn't like color on the walls. He was always thinking about, well, what if we sell? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was like, it was always this.
So we can never really be here now, right?
I know, I'm like, yeah, but can I paint? Yeah. Like, I really need to do something creative. And just the act of like going out and picking out paint that was a color that was going to go on the wall because I wanted it, like nobody else wanted it. It was for me, was really a stretch at first. It was like the first time that I actually was like, no, maybe I shouldn't do that because, you know, like, that's, you know, like what if I put it on the wall, I don't like it, or what if I end up moving? Like all these things are now like programmed in my brain. And I remember going, no, this is, what are you doing? Like, this is your time. This is your time to do some of the things you want to do. And it was such a good exercise for me to like paint the walls in the living room. It was like a really pretty teal color. I really love it. I miss it. I don't want to do it again, but.
And the red chairs. And the red chairs.
I know the red chairs. I still have the red chairs. Looking a little sad too, but the red and it was, you know, it was so me. And that's the point, right? I started to really connect with the colors in different ways. And it was just, it was a creative expression of me. And so, you know, with my business, I coach women to wear color, but the reality is that it's not just about what you wear. It's how you're expressing your authentic self, the way that you want to do it, and what makes you feel really, really good. And color is just a great way to do that. It's such a simple way to do that, right? And so if you like wearing,
Yeah, when you say that, what comes to me is liberation. When you are sharing that, you know, again, you've got the story there, you're on the ground, you know, you're picking paint colors and you go to teal. And of course, there's all these stories we tell ourselves inside. I mean, it's exhausting what's going on inside of us, you know?
Oh, it's like, absolutely exhausting. And the thing is that you mentioned transformation and midlife, and this is our time. And I would definitely add on to that there's no end result. Like when you start to allow yourself to actually start to do the self-discovery process, right, and really peel away all those layers you're talking about, every time I peel a layer away, there's another one that shows up. And I think that it's a continuous process to not only reveal your essence to yourself, to really get to know yourself. And there's also, I think, a practice in then allowing yourself to be what you're discovering, and try to silence all the stories and the noise and the voices that keep telling you that, oh, you know, good moms don't do that, or, you know, oh, aren't you a little old to be doing that, or, you know, are my hips too big for this, or whatever it is that we're telling ourselves. It's like, that's enough. Like, what do you really
want? First off is permission outside of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Like we said, it's our parents or our teachers or our husbands that we put ourselves in that crazy position.
100%.
But it's so true. And then it's like this time you go, oh, first there's this gap, this like space, this vacuum exists. You're like, what is this? Like, I have all this power. You talk about power, like taking back your power in your book. Yeah. And for me, it was like such a foreign thing. Like, I have power. I can give myself permission. I don't have to get it from somebody else. And I can be who I want to be. Like, what is that? And then there's this blank slate, which, like anything else, an artist takes a blank slate. It's terrifying at first. A book, terrifying at first. It's blank pages. But as you there's no way to figure it out until you start and you make mistakes and you erase things, or you paint over things, or you change words and edit things. That's what this life design is, right? Yeah. Midlife design. And to me, midlife is not an age. It's an experience. It can happen when you're 30. It can happen when you're 55, and you can have a second midlife and a third midlife. Like, it's really just these periods and points in your life. I think midlife is this powerful pivot, but we can have multiple reinventions of ourselves and continually color our world or find a new shade of color. And color psychology, the energy that connects with these colors, it is transformative. If you, like you said, you're walking around in beige clothes or always wearing black, it can't help but sort of seep into your personality, just the way color can. So I know you talk about confidence. You were saying earlier on in your book that confidence was a big issue for you, confidence, self-worth. I think, again, that's a very universal female issue. And let's talk about color and confidence and how color really helps bring us confidence, something that simple.
It is that simple, but and then it's not, right? Because it is the courage to wear a color that you may never have worn before. And but when you finally do, and you're like, I'm just going to wear it. And like for me, I went to work that day wearing this color and I got so many compliments. And I know that people say, and I just said it a minute ago too, that you shouldn't dress for other people, you should dress for yourself, which I totally am on board with. But the reality is that when you're kind of just starting out in this process, there's nothing wrong with getting validation. There's nothing wrong on trying something new and then getting positive validation, because that's where you can stop telling yourself this doesn't look good. Now, and it's a balance, it's a growth, it's an evolution over time where you stop seeking out so much outside validation and start to really just have that confidence and that strong sense of self that it doesn't matter if someone is liking me in this, I like it. It's me. This is me. I feel really good in this. Because quite honestly, if you want to put on a hot pink dress and because it makes you feel powerful, it doesn't matter if it's a flattering color. It just matters how you feel. And if you're walking with confidence and tall, that's what's beautiful. That's what people are going to want to wear hot pink because you're walking so strong and so tall, right? And so it's about that. And it's a little bit of a muscle, I think, that we have to exercise and try something different and something new and see if we like it. And sometimes we don't, and that's okay. Yeah. But it's because you don't, not because it's scary.
Yeah, it's up to us. And I think you made a really important point about sometimes we do need the external validation, especially when we're insecure, right? But it's when we get stuck in that, when we all of a sudden we get trapped in that. And I think, at the midlife pivot, life is going to force you to look a different way and start looking within, because first of all, the external, we're aging, all these things, but more importantly, there's no way to find out who we are in here if we're so focused out there. So
absolutely. I totally agree. And it's, I think it's just a wonderful time of our lives to explore and to uncover new things and to try new things and to be like, oh my God, I didn't realize I really like that, and to dive into it. And if you don't like it, you can your life is just going to keep growing. And I'm such a firm believer that the more that we connect with ourselves, some things you like this year, you may not even like next year, but that's okay too. It's just the more we connect with ourselves, the happier and more fulfilled we're going to be. And I still catch myself even giving myself definitions around why don't I like doing that anymore? I used to like it, but then I realized that's okay too. Because
I think that's so true. And we're going to talk about color and self-exploration and self-discovery and all that, and why I'm wearing a happy color and why you're wearing a blushing color and what that even means. So we'll be right back. I think we're pretty much on the same page here on the whole midlife thing and self-exploration and discovery. And so let's move into color and signature colors and all of that. But right before we do, I think this is a good lead in, because we're talking at the beginning of the show about the name change. So you were Jen Thoden. You are now, you've legally changed your name to Jen Vax. You were obviously gone from being divorced to newly married, 3 years ago? 3 years ago. But the name change is new. I did the same thing. I was divorced a very long time ago, but I just a year ago changed my name legally to Catherine Grace O'Connell. And that's actually a name I chose. Catherine's my original name, but the middle name and the last name are names that I chose. So I want to talk about that a little bit, because that really does lead us into self-exploration and discovery. You have in your book, you talk about, this is your new husband, newly, and you guys were a blended family then, but you weren't married. So you said, you talk about the color wheel, and Joe, he's your husband, became the central pillar in our blended family and pulled us all together. Your kids, Matt and Minnie, adore them. Jack prefers his dad to me, of course, and well, I married him. So you say, Joe's the center of our wheel with 4 spokes circling him. Your 5 signature colors are like a blended family. Some colors go well together. Some don't seem to mesh at all. You might have some loud colors or some quieter ones. You might have 1 or 2 that regularly hang out together in multiple outfits and others that prefer going solo, which I thought was really awesome. You know, you make a lot of wonderful metaphors and analogies between color and life and these wheels. And so let's talk about your new family, your new name, your new identity that you are claiming for yourself here, creating and claiming at the same time. And this process of yourself, of self-discovery, and how color fit into that, and how color can help these women out there, our lovely audience, you know, to discover parts of themselves.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the name first, because the second part of that, I think, is a bigger question. And I have some really great answers to that too. So, and so I'll talk about the name first, because I think it is a good lead in to just authenticity, right? So, you know, 3 years ago, Joe and I got married, and it was awesome, because he is someone that really complements me very well. We're very compatible, and I just couldn't be happier. And so, but I didn't change my name, and I didn't change it because I wasn't compelled. It wasn't that I didn't want his name. It wasn't that. It was just simply that at that time I was still Jen Thoden. Yes, I got married. Yes, I declared my love and, you know, my life to be with Joe, but I was still Jen Thoden. All my business was under Jen Thoden. Everybody knew me as Jen Thoden. And I just really didn't feel compelled to change my name. And good news is that I was never pressured to. It wasn't like it hurt his feelings. He logically was like, oh yeah, you know, your business is Jen Thoden, you should keep it. And it wasn't until this past year, our magical 2020, where we're all locked in our door, you know, inside our homes, that, you know, it's a really good time for self-reflection. And really to kind of do some more exploration as far as just what are you going to do with all your time that you've got now, right? And so for me, I started doing a lot more art and started posting it on Instagram, which I've never shared my art before, and it really sparked a whole new layer of myself that I've forgotten. I mentioned the art in the book, but I really hadn't made it a practice. I really hadn't been doing very much of it, because it was just sort of like, oh yeah, I'm good at that. It's a great little hobby. That's so great. And so I really dove into it this year, and it just really kind of lit me up. And like, it just kind of talk about like having like memories and relapses of being 8. And I mean, like, just super joyful moments for me. And it really, I can almost imagine like my inner soul, the real me, kind of getting bigger and brighter, and kind of shadowing out things that I used to tell myself, I don't have time to do the art. It's just, I don't have a space for it. It's expensive. It's all these things. And the more that I did it, the more I just got stronger with myself and just started to make time for myself. This is huge.
It's huge. It's huge.
Carving that time for yourself and do something you really enjoy doing and it brings you joy. And so as I started to do that, and my business was changing and growing and evolving along with me, by the end of this year, I was like, you know what? I am no longer Jen Thoden.
Yeah. Like, yeah, you kind of started all of that. It's you're stepping into this new you. I can totally say that. And
so I just decided, you know what? I'm starting out 2021 as Jen Vax, because that is who I am now. And so that's the name story.
I love that. And like you said, it's sort of like taking another coat off, another layer off. And we have, you know, so many similar things in our stories. Creativity for me was one of the things that I found to be healing, life-changing. And I always told myself I wasn't creative. I'm not creative. And then it was literally this, again, sort of a life coach, empowerment coach who helps me understand, first of all, I know many women out there right now have said that or are still saying that to themselves. And if we think about it, we're from creation, right? We're here to create. We're born to create. We're born creators. Because you are an artist, maybe this person is creating something completely different, but we're all here to create. And creativity it's a key. It's a magical tool to be used in self-discovery. So clearly that got you into art. Obviously you were already dabbling with the color thing, which is pretty huge. So let's move into color then, and color and self-discovery. And how is color so crazy life-changing?
So so for me, and I actually believe this is probably true for everybody who really starts to like get excited about this, right? But it is a true reflection of it's a creative self-expression. So we use the word creative, like you had just said, right? We're all creators, and people automatically assume that creative must mean something artistic or visual. But what it really means is not. It is your way of expressing how you want to take on the world and how you want to problem solve and to work through whatever it is that you're working through at that time. And so, how you want to convey yourself to the world, how you want to express yourself, and how you want to actually feel like yourself has everything to do with that creative expression. And color is just one way. I mean, there's 100 different ways that you can express yourself, right? Color is a vehicle that you can do that. And because it's so immediate and it's so visual, and there's a lot of energy that goes along with color. So I talk about the 5 signature colors in the book, right? And I chose those colors specifically.
Let's tell what they are, though. So just let's say what they are right now, because maybe people haven't read their book, or we'll get them to read your book. So what are the 5 signature colors?
So the 5 signature colors, right? So there is the blushing colors, and I'll tell you what they all mean. You can prompt me if you want. So there's the blushing colors, the eye-popping colors, the grounding colors, your happy, and your power colors. And I do call them power colors, right?
Statement colors in there.
Statement colors.
Your statement colors, but same thing, yeah.
I don't even know what I wrote. It is the same thing. So those 5 colors, those 5 colors are our authentic expression of ourselves, but they're all kind of different levels of ourselves based on our mood, the moment, what we really are dealing with, and they all kind of have different energy levels that can either balance us or convey what it is that we want to express. So the blushing color, like I'm wearing my blushing color, in my opinion, is one of the most flattering colors a person can wear. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the color that picks up the natural blush in your cheeks and lips. It is probably the color you would normally pick out for your cheeks and lips. So if you don't even need a color analysis to know, well, if I normally wear this color, it's probably going to be a gray color for a top. And it just is a very pretty color, but it's also a very approachable color. So color when you want to feel friendly, maybe feel pretty is a really good word I use a lot on this color, and just to feel very approachable. So you can combine it with other colors like black and navy for more authority, but when you put your blushing colors on, it makes you more approachable, makes you seem more friendly. I wore it for this.
I know, so you did. We are both I'm in a happy color, but it's also an eye-popping color. And interestingly enough, 2021, if you're looking at any of the fashion stuff, pastels are back big time, which is really a pretty big shift. We haven't seen like sorbet colors in a while. So I'll let you continue there, but I thought we're right on point.
No, totally. Yeah. And I love that you like, you're wearing the color that is, your eye popping. So let's talk about that. The eye popping colors. Again, it's exactly what it sounds like, right? It's the colors that are going to match your eyes. It's the colors when you wear it, people go, oh my God, your eyes look so green or so blue. Exactly. And it's just, you just feel good in it. It's a really good energy level color to wear. So especially if you're feeling tired, and you're kind of just like, I got to get up. I got to pick myself up. Wearing your eye-popping color is a color you can absolutely wear, and it just makes you feel better. So when we talk about transformative, that paying attention to your energy and paying attention to the colors that you put on can really make a huge difference in how you feel. And there are people who don't have a lot of color in their eye, but I would argue there's always something. So even if you have a really, really dark eye, often you'll see like a navy blue in there or a deep brown in there. And so there's a color. I have a lot of colors.
Eyes are the window to our soul. So I've always been a big one about, putting on colors that accent the eyes. Because
definitely. Because
it's all you connect with people.
Wait, and I love that. And it's just, again, it's all authentic. It's all who you already are. Those 2 colors right off the bat, right? Grounding colors are considered your best neutrals. I call them grounding colors because when you're wearing your best neutrals, it it's a grounding feeling. You're not wearing your neutrals necessarily to stand out, right? You're wearing them because they're neutral. Either you're feeling neutral, you want to be neutral. They work great with all your other clothes and colors, but it's also just a very grounding vibe and energy. Your grounding colors are typically the colors that are your darkest feature and within your hair, your eyebrows. I don't have very dark, neither do you. So it's going to be a very light color, but that's, again, it's all part of being in harmony and being, those are all your authentic colors that you already have. It's just how you wear them based on the energy that you need, convey, or the message you want to send.
It's almost like the background color in nature. If I think about it, it's like the color of sand or trees. The green pops, but that's the ground, that's the stem, that's the roots, that's the
Exactly. It's a great way of looking at that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like we talk about chakra colors and stuff. It's totally different. It's a color. It's like red.
We can go into all that if we want.
Yeah,
but I'm an energy worker. We can do that.
Right.
But no, we won't. That's another show.
It's a whole nother segment.
That's another show.
But yeah, to your point. So again, those three colors are authentically part of you. That's already naturally part of you. And so when you start paying attention to that, you can really feel more like yourself. The other two colors aren't necessarily as obvious, but they're more emotional and more stronger energy in a way, but not necessarily as obvious as the authentic colors. So one of them is your happy color, like you mentioned. A lot of times when we notice the colors that flatter us, they start to become our happy colors because we start to fall in love with those colors. But it's not always the case. I love yellow. I love red. Those are colors that really just light me up. And so therefore, I don't always wear them, but I have them in my house and I have them scattered about and I pop them in whenever I can. So I have a red bag. When I got my nails done pre-COVID, I always had red nails and red toes. And believe it or not, I don't actually have a lot of red clothing. I have some red that I wear for like being on video.
Washington, I'm on the Washington.
Yeah, that's right. I wore all
red on. Yes.
It's all red. Yeah, I love that.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, it's fun. But it's a really bold color.
It's a color. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But my point is that, I have red chairs downstairs, like you mentioned in my book. I've got red chairs and there's red everywhere in my house because I love the color. But you don't have to wear it. It's just whatever really brings you joy. If you like rainbows, you should bring rainbows into your house. Like what you should bring into your world visually, the things that really resonate with you and just spark you. You don't have to always wear the color. So that's your happy color. And then
one thing I wanted to say there too, because you said like yellow is the Pantone color of the year, right? So we're talking yellows and pastels, and those are all big things you'll see in people's wardrobes. And people go, oh, I can't wear yellow. I have this in my skin. I can't wear yellow. But everything is a spectrum, right? You can go from lemon yellow to mustard gold, and same with red, right? There's deep dark crimson to really soft shade that borderlines in pink. So I think that's just important to point out that there's this. I can't wear that color. You can, at least to me, you can wear pretty much any color as long as you find the right shade, that hue, that,
You are speaking my language. People who follow me, especially on YouTube, I have lots of videos. Like I think I just released one, just exactly what you just said. Mm-hmm. And it's all about like your best shades of reds and pinks. And I think there's a yellow one coming, but not for a couple months. But to your point, it's not that you can't wear. Yellow definitely comes up all the time. Mm-hmm. Right? Because bright yellow, the brightest color of the spectrum, is a really hard color to wear unless you really just want to stand out, which, hey, if you do, that's fine. But it's a very intimidating color, and it's not always the most flattering color. And but like you said, it's just, you got to pick the right one. So for me, a bright yellow is really, really bright, but I can lighten it. And it's a lighter yellow, and it's far more flattering. You can warm it up a little bit and have a golden yellow, right? You can cool it down and have more of a lime green or lemon yellow. And then you can soften it, and that becomes more of like an olive green. Not really yellow at all anymore, but it's actually the hue of yellow. There's so many versions of one color.
Yeah.
And that's where it's fun for me.
Yeah, I can see where that just alone, that conversation gets you in this path of self-discovery, right? You're learning so much about yourself there, just in the color wheel to the triangles like you have in there, but really just the hues of colors and putting those on and playing with it. To me, it's all intuitive. It's like, I think the more we start getting these layers off and taking these costumes off, we get to the authentic part, and we're able to be in touch with that so much more, because the younger us is putting it on, going, how do I look, and it's like, wait, how do I feel?
How do I feel?
Really, it's not how do I look, it's how do I feel? And I, like you said, happy, do I feel grounded? Do I feel, this really, to me, your color book is brilliant. It's brilliant is one, no pun intended, but it is. It makes it very simple. I know there's a lot more that you can dive into. You can really go. You've got all the color cards that you can take out shopping, right? Yeah. But and so let's, share with our audience the different ways that they can, other than just getting your book, which of course your book is wonderful and very, fortunately this is not going to take anyone a long time to go through, but if they really want to take a deep dive and do some self-discovery, like you said, you have the videos, you actually have a program, right? They can either work with you, but they can also get your program. Mm-hmm.
So I've set it up so that wherever you are, you can find out a lot about what your color palette could be. And so there's a quiz, which is 100% free. So, if they go to the site, yourcolorstyle.com, the quiz is really obvious to find. And it walks you through, gives you lots of examples. And a lot of people find their color type and their color palette that way. And so it's a really, really easy way to do that. And obviously the most inexpensive. There's also a DIY kit, which is kind of part of the program you were kind of referring to. And that is, you actually get a set of cards. They're nice size cards. There's 12 of them, one for each color type. And there's an online course that goes along with it. So you can, with the course, work with what you've got and narrow it down. And then the Facebook group, a lot of people like to post to get feedback from the community, and because it's fun, right? Like, what do you think? Do you think it's this or you think it's this? And they'll play, and it's very interactive and it's a lot of fun. And a lot of people have a lot of success with that. You don't have to invest in the full service. I mean, I offer that also, but it's not always for everybody. Everyone needs to come at their own pace.
In these different places. And what is if you were to say one thing, what's the biggest thing that you have discovered about yourself through this process, through color, through being this modern midlife woman and this pivot? What's the biggest self-discovery?
Biggest self-discovery is that I truly, truly am my own boss. I'm the boss of me. And I have a voice and I have power. And if I don't want to do something, I really don't have to do it. And if I really want to do something, I speak up and say, I really want to do that. And that for me has probably been the most mind shift, right? The biggest life-changing thinking that I want everyone to learn about themselves, that they have their own choice to be who they really want to be and do the things they really want to do and not do the things that they don't want to do. I think that's pretty key, by the way. It's one thing to go, do the things you love, but also give yourself permission to say, no, I don't really like to do that. I don't want to do that.
Well, it's a gift for you, but it's a gift for the other person too, because what if we're doing something we really don't want to do? Me being a reforming people pleaser, if we're not happy, we can't possibly do our best, and not really taking away from that person. They could find somebody else who would just be totally jazzed. Oh yeah,
it's funny because I remember with my previous husband, he's a big camper, loves to camp, and I hate it. I am take me to the spa. I want to stay in the resort. I'm good to go. I want the air conditioning.
I'm on your team.
I want the bug spray. I don't want to sleep on a hard, cold stone. That's not fun for me. I don't want to do that. And I did it for so many years because it's what you do. You just go along with the ride. And finally and this is honestly, to be fair, close to when we were going to split anyway. So I stopped caring so much as far as but the thing is that it's not that I didn't care. I just started to be like, I really don't want to do that anymore. Like, I'm not happy. And so, you know, the first time I'm like, I'm not going to go camping. It was like, wait, what?
So
What do you,
what? Huh?
what do you
I know,
mean
right?
you're not going to go? I'm
Wait,
like,
I'm not
I'm
a
just
happy
not going to
camper,
go.
right? I'm not a happy camper. How
Yeah,
many
it's like,
go through
I'm
life
not a
happy camper? I know.
oh, look what you just did.
Camper. Not a happy camper. Did I like make it funny? But it's so true though. If you think about, you know, life, if we just put it all in terms of energy, the more connected we are with ourselves, our authentic selves, the more we know when we're leaking energy, right? If we're happy, you know, we're building energy, right? And if we are unhappy, if we are, you know, anything that isn't authentic, like you said, even staying in a marriage, both of us did that. Mine was really negative, really draining. And if I was more in tune with myself, that costume I was wearing, you know, that the universe took off for me. Many of us are walking around in those situations with this massive disconnect, this authentic self inside that is so unhappy, but we put on this mask, you know, and people feel it though. You know, you on some level know when you're leaking energy, you know, when you're in a situation, a relationship, anything in your life, you're doing something and you're leaking energy. So I think, you know, that's a great, I could think, point to you know, kind of wind up this conversation, because I think color is it's a natural thing. You put it on, like you have that beautiful pink on, like, oh, that's just it's happy, it's blushing, it's all those things that makes your eyes pop. It's like such an uplifting, you know, color. And what a fun way to play with self-discovery. What a fun way to learn about ourselves in putting on some clothes or a coat of paint in your, you know, place. But color, it makes us feel alive, doesn't it?
It does. I'm a huge fan.
Well, I know.
We're taking it to the stage.
Find out what your signature colors are, the 5 signature colors, discover them. So Jen, where can people go to find your book, to find you, to work with you, to get a program that they can do themselves? You know, all these options that you offer in your Facebook group.
Oh, you're awesome. So for the book, it's out on Amazon. If you actually search on Amazon, that's my color, it will show up. There's a Kindle version and the print, and there's a link in the book that takes you to a free little mini video course to kind of expand on each of the 5 signature colors. And so it's a lot of fun. So you learn a lot of my story in the book, get the online course as well. So yourcolorstyle.com is where you can go and learn all about your colors and get the quiz and that kind of a thing. And if you want to know a little bit more about me and the speaking and that kind of stuff, and you can go to jenthoden.com. And yes, it's Jen Thoden, not Jen Vax.
Yeah, Jen, there we go. Jen Thoden, Jen Vax Thoden.
I know, I got to fix it, but not yet.
I know, right? We'll fix it. We've got
it's a process.
People know. And I wouldn't feel right signing off without, you know, everything is so aesthetically beautiful in your office, but we have R2D2 there. Is there's a Star Wars character back there? Isn't that what it is?
Well, let me give you a tour really quickly. To my left is my art. To my right is my book. There it is. Okay. And then, yes, we're huge Star Wars and Legos fans in this house. Yes. Yes.
Very
and
cool.
so
I couldn't resist. It's the first thing
he's so cute too, right?
Yeah,
he's so cute. He's so cute. So yes, he's up there.
That's so cool. And that could be a whole another show after we do the chakra show. We can do the whole Star Wars and life and dark and light and
and how much of the dorks we really are. Yeah, that would be amazing.
I know, right? There you go. Or we can pull out the Legos and the puzzles. So Jen, thank you so much for being with us. I mean, you're clearly a delight and just so bubbly and full of life and personality. So you guys, if you can't already see that color is a way of changing your life, transforming your life, discovery, self-discovery, all those wonderful things. So highly recommend, you know, check out Jen Thoden, check out her book, and find out maybe what your 5 signature colors are. And, you know, again, thank you, Jen, so much for being with us today. Delighted to have you. And beauties, thank you for being with us. If you love this show, please share it and subscribe, maybe leave a review, all those wonderful things that we do. And of course, check out Jen and the magnificent, colorful work that she's doing. So, and with that, cheers, beauties, stay fierce.